Today on Lakeshore Focus, we continue the story from last week of two brothers who have fought substance abuse addiction. Part 1 was their personal story. Part 2 is how they help others with this battle. The first show touched us deeply, and so will this one. Stay with us.
Programming is supported by NIPSCO. Today's young minds are constantly reimagining what our world will be like tomorrow. That's why NIPSCO is upgrading its infrastructure now, so we're ready for whatever comes next. More information at nipsco.com/future.
Welcome again to Lakeshore Focus, a weekly show highlighting the key issues, important events, and interesting people in our region. I'm Keith Kirkpatrick. Last week we followed the emotional and physical journey of two brothers who struggled with substance abuse addiction and how it has impacted their lives. This week we present Part 2, focusing on what they are doing now to help others fight the battle of addiction. Again, here is Kevin Lee, the president, and David Lee, who is the founder of Intervention Services, Sober Solutions, and Heartland Recovery Center. So welcome back to the show.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
So you've had a little time to think about what we did last week, and
Sure.
I'm probably not going to recap all this, so people can watch the show by going to the website. So if they want to wait, they can do that, or they can jump in here.
Sure.
So let me try to remember where we were when we ended this story. You guys had kind of all of a sudden started working this business idea together, right?
Well, I mean, I had...
You're the founder, so what?
I was at a treatment program, and I actually almost had a year at that point, and not the year, but...
A year of sobriety.
Yeah, okay. And it was a big deal, and while I was there, they were really big on, they said, if you really want to stay sober, you got to dedicate your life to helping other people. And I made this commitment then to really focus on, you know, people wanted to leave treatment, that kind of thing, and not really professionally, it was just my thing, my spark.
Now this is interesting. Mm-hmm. You were in another treatment program. You'd been sober for a
long
year.
Term, yeah.
But so this is a long-term care thing.
Yeah.
So you're still working with somebody who's still trying to help you.
Sure. Yeah, I had transitioned out of their main unit, and I was more of in the kind of aftercare portion, and they were just really big on, they thought my problem was if I didn't dedicate my life to helping people, I would never stay sober. So a lot of people had different...
Do lots of people go into aftercare? Because I thought pretty much when you moved into the kind of the recovery stage, you kind of got into AA or something, and
That's a form of aftercare.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Some people continue their aftercare through outpatient or transition, halfway houses, that kind of thing. That's kind of along the lines of what I was doing, and I just, for whatever reason, was really good at having a person or a client or an addict who didn't really want to come. I was just pretty good at talking them in.
So you've decided to dedicate your life to treatment. So what brought you into this then?
I remember Dave calling me up initially and telling me what he was doing, and he said, you know, flying around, and I'm talking to clients about coming to treatment. And I said, that, to me, it just didn't sound like a job. It sounded like just something you do in recovery, which is, isn't that what you do with AA?
He's still having all the fun.
Yeah, I just thought, are you sure you got a year clean? Because this just doesn't sound right to me. But he explained it a little more thoroughly, and I didn't quite understand it till we really sat down and got together and discussed more in depth of what he wanted to do. And like I had said before, at that point I was just working regular jobs. I was just finishing up college, round 2, getting my degree in psychology, and I was working bartending on the side and working a supervisor position in the casino, and that was going to be my career. And actually I went into psychology just to get a degree so I could move on up management in the casino industry.
So about how old are you at this point?
Late 20s probably, somewhere around there. Yeah.
No, I had to be 30s.
I think it was just before 30.
He still thinks he's young, remember?
Yeah.
He's still
the younger
he's
brother.
younger.
No, it had to be
Younger.
30s.
Yeah. So what was your vision for this?
There was no vision. There was just, I liked to just sit there in front of somebody and get them to go from, I don't want to commit to this thing, to I want to give this a try. And like some people are really good.
You're right. This was a job. Just talking to
It
people.
wasn't a job in the beginning.
Okay.
It really wasn't a job, and it was.
It sounds like you presented it to Kevin as a job.
Well, later it evolved into one because later all of a sudden I was so good. I mean, because I was passionate and I knew the struggles and I could sit there in front of them and just see sometimes an addict is 5 minutes away from bailing. The anxiety, I want to leave. And I was really good at keeping them through that 5 minutes. And my name started spreading as this guy that was really good. And then all of a sudden these parents from across the country would catch wind of this guy and they would say, would you be willing to come out here? I'd pay for your plane ticket and your hotel. And I was like, sure.
Wow, that's interesting.
And it evolved into this. I didn't even know it was a profession. I didn't know much about intervention back then. I just knew that if you gave me that shot of face-to-face, because I knew what it was like more than anything.
Well, this is, you talked last week about the fact that this is a family thing. Now, these families are inviting you to come out and talk to their kid.
Yeah.
At what point do you say, I really need to talk to you people?
Well, we always started with the family.
Okay.
And then the next day would usually be, I'd figure out what was happening and then I would go to the next day. And it started off extremely informal and just a lot more passion. And I believed that this was going to be a part of my recovery, that maybe if I dedicated myself to helping these, maybe I'd quit messing up.
So when did you start carrying these bags or flying the plane? What was it?
Well, it kind of all ties together because, like David said, he was so good at one-on-one talking to that addict about getting him through that 5 minutes and making that step. And what David had shared with me at one point was what he had realized after the fact is, while he could pretty much get anybody talked into, wrong way to put it, but going to treatment, his follow-up wasn't always great news. The families would go back to enabling them, and the addict may leave treatment and leave early or relapse. And that's where he kind of brought me in, where, I had the psych background a little bit through school, but it was more, I had the Kevin and David Lee story about what our family went through. And when at the beginning of this, the genesis was we talked about bringing the family into focus with our intervention style, and that was, we understood both sides of addiction.
So David you both started doing this together.
Yeah, we started doing team interventions almost right away. David had experience doing it at a treatment center and things he was doing, and then when he brought me in, that's pretty much when we started the professional aspect of our company.
Did you just quit your job and start doing this?
Oh, no. Okay. I have a lot of, my mother and father are completely separate. My mom's just like, hey, just run with your dream kind of thing, and my father's more,
You need to pay, you
to eat. You got to pay your bills first, and so I stayed on in both, and I had some great managers above me.
So these would be things you guys would do like on the weekend or?
Well, we did them whenever family needed us, and I had great managers at the place where I worked that would basically give me time off at a moment's notice because everybody's been touched by addiction, so it was very easy for them. Everybody knows somebody either related to them that is battling with it. So when I said, hey, I need off tomorrow with no notice because I got to fly across country and help somebody get into rehab, I mean, it's like I had two good supervisors that really helped me, and so I was able to work, all three jobs at one point for the first about year or so, and then I went down to a day or so, and then we went full time.
So at some point, you guys have formed 3 organizations. Which one kind of came first?
Intervention Services.
Okay, and that was
the intervention
formalizing what you guys were doing.
No, the intervention company really took off. Ironically, the first several years I wasn't stable, but we were hiring people that were, and they were taking over. And we grew. We're actually, the Intervention Services is the biggest intervention company in North America right now, which is pretty neat to say.
So how many people do you have doing this?
35, 40, I don't know.
30 or so employees. We have 10 interventionists. We do anywhere from 20 to 35 interventions per month.
Why are you guys so big or so good at this?
We haven't quite figured that out. Dave was always a good marketing guy, good computer guy. Treatment centers really gravitated towards the brother kind of story, that we understood both sides. Our success, right away helped. I mean, we've done everything right without knowing what we were doing at the beginning.
And I think we evolved, and I think the big factor when we really took off is, understand the beginning, the company started, but my dream collapsed, and I was unstable, and finally my entire company and my family sat me down and really hardcore intervened on me.
So they had an intervention on you.
Yeah, so I mean, as a secret, if you don't want to be intervened on, don't ever found an intervention company.
They'll turn the services on you.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, I wish I had written a different book at the time as the best I could describe it. And
So did you sit there and go, you guys are doing to me what I do to other people?
they did a harder core intervention. They skipped the loving letters. I'm still upset about that.
I had a lot of,
Normally they give these loving
had a lot of
letters.
intervention experience by then. So he met
It
his match
literally
finally.
went to, you're done, you're out, pack your stuff, you don't have anything, goodbye.
So
good
what does
luck.
an intervention look like? I mean, that sounds like
Not
part
like
of it.
that. I didn't tell you that.
Normally it's a very loving, caring, a lot of tears, a lot of, it's a very emotional, it's just hard, it's so hard to explain. It's like a living eulogy almost because it is that emotionally powerful. Normally, like I said,
So
the one
why
David had.
So why did you choose the butt kicking version of it?
Because there was no choice.
yeah.
I wrote the book on the other stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we
my-
met each other's match at that point.
My
So it was-
intervention was until you get 1 year, don't reach out for a bailout handout, contact, goodbye, have a great life. And they solidified the family and the company all pretty much against me. But the reality was I was creating damage.
Against you or for you?
They were for me. But I looked at it and perceived I was pretty mad.
Was the company on the brink of kind of folding or falling
No.
apart? No, it was still going.
No, they were
I had
hired.
it under control.
But they were just, you guys were just kind of tired of this crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had
It was more too that we practice what we preach.
Okay.
How could we go out there and teach a family this is how you set a healthy boundary, but I'm not willing to do it within our own company.
And I think that's where we grew up. That changed everything. And I went my own way for a couple years and angry, worked $7 an hour jobs and barely, I was briefly home. I mean, pretty mad, blaming. I mean, how do you feel when you're,
You were homeless during that period of time too?
periods, yeah. And I mean, how do you think I felt? Granted, see, addicts.
You had
when you-
started it.
Yeah.
And grew it was large.
And
then.
baby brother took it over
Building the house.
and kicked you out.
He's building a house. I don't even have one. So, and addicts have real trouble taking accountability, as I did. And, it was always a, yeah, but. Oh, I understand what they did, but it was unfair. Oh, sure, what they did is,
So what was the reconciliation? I almost hate to pick words sometimes because you always go, it really wasn't quite that.
There wasn't reconciliation until you got over a year clean.
until over a year.
Okay.
And once you got a year clean, it was still a little rough for
But
a
by
few
then,
months.
I had changed.
And so he came back into the business
Oh,
at
yeah.
that point?
Yeah.
Okay.
By then I was living in a halfway house, and I had been there for over a year. And I
Is that around here? You were here?
Chicago.
Chicago, okay.
And when they reached out to me, maybe it's the first time really said my recovery is more important than anything. I will help out with some website stuff, but I won't leave the halfway house. I'll commute an hour and a half there every day. And I have my meetings and my recovery, and I had a therapist at the time. And it just, and I set some boundaries on them, which was really bizarre. Because I knew enough on intervention, I knew the traps we could go into. I banned my mother from providing any form of assistance for a year. That was terrible for her.
I'm sure.
I mean, she couldn't
So
even
this
give me
is
a
still
present.
intervention services, right? Now, so when did the second company pop up?
Sometime
Right
around then. I
Around
think.
that time.
the-
Around the time he was moved out, give or take
Yeah.
a year or so.
Okay.
But, I don't
And what's
remember
it called
explicit-
again?
Sober Solutions, and that's just a, online free referral service for people that are looking to find treatment. Basically, the easiest way to look at it, intervention is for the non-willing client, but the willing client can come to Sober Solutions, and we can help them with dealing with their insurance or private pay, stuff like that, and
It's
find
just
the
a
right
web-
fit for them.
It's just a website?
Well, we had the
It's web-based, but we have a home office here in Northwest
We have
Indiana.
phone people. I mean, we had all these relationships with all these treatment centers because doing the interventions, you got to find treatment. So we
So
are
they
working
knew-
with hundreds
so they knew
of
about you, right?
working with hundreds of treatment centers, and one of the scariest things was these families don't have a clue where to turn. They don't know what is the difference between if I had more money, is that increase my outcomes? They don't have the slightest idea, and there's a lot of ambiguous information on the internet.
So
And-
I might speculate based on what you're saying that you probably believe that a whole number of treatment modalities probably have the potential to work,
Yes, but if families aren't educated,
but it's the family issue.
they can undo.
Right.
Yeah.
They can undo. And that's, people ask, how did you go to, I do some work for other rehabs, I do workshops, and they always say, don't tell them you went to 25 rehabs. It makes it sound like rehabs
Right.
don't work. And the thing is, rehabs work extremely well, but there is a continuum of care after the 28 days. And only 10% of addicts follow that. And why is that? It's because they want to redesign their own treatment plan. And families don't understand that there's this continuum.
Well, that's why I wanted to make sure that people understood that this is back to what you said in the first show was there's no it. There's no magical it. It is you have to get the family involved. It's a
Sure.
whole systems kind of thing.
I like your analogy about church with it.
Yeah, if you went to church on Sunday, did it work? There's no it.
There,
You know?
That's a good point.
Um,
and for
here's-
some people, it just doesn't.
Here's a real answer. I went to 25 rehabs, right? Here's the real question. Where did I go the day after I left the treatment center? The answer is almost
Now,
always
are you
the same.
interviewing me? Because I don't know the answer.
Well, the answer is almost always the same. I went right back to Mom's house, surrounded by people that loved me, that wanted me to do so well, that they didn't want to push me. They were afraid if they pushed me too hard, I'd relapse. I always landed on their couch. And that right there is a recipe for disaster. And part of our struggles on the intervention side is to teach a family that coming right home isn't necessarily the ideal scenario.
And David always took control of his treatment plan at that point, and we didn't know any better. So, and what did David do? But took a comfortable approach, whatever comfortable was for him at that moment. And we felt as long as he went to rehab, as long as he's not using today, okay, this sounds all right. Dave's not at the crack house anymore. Dave's at our house, so things must be good. But things weren't always good.
So give me an example. I want to make sure we get to the center at some point where that came in. But at this point, give me an example of an intervention that just, really worked, a little bit of detail to it, and one that's like, oh my gosh, this one just absolutely fell apart.
I can give you 100 of them that really worked. Because a lot of times, they're so emotional.
Yeah.
And
Well, just kind of tell us about one of those that really worked.
Go ahead.
I can give you one that, but it doesn't seem like it worked, but it lasted over a year.
Okay, just kind of give us a little thumbnail of the family, the person.
Addict was a 27-year-old heroin. Heroin's one of the big common ones right now. Heavily entitled, hijacked his family, had no consequences, wrecked several cars, always got new ones. And to hold that family's hands and to teach them first about boundaries is the magic, and to allow that kid to experience the consequences of his lifestyle choices.
So the family's really they've got to come to grips with this
yeah.
thing and face it. So when does it fail?
I always say an intervention really never fails. It sounds kind of like a sales pitch there, but because what we believe with the intervention is, and I teach this with my interventionists I train up, that the intervention is actually won on day one, not day two. We do a 2-day intervention, which is day one is with the family, not with the addict. Day two is with the addict. And what I mean by it's never fails, if you really do your job with that family, the intervention will work. It's just a matter of when. Because if the family learns to set healthy boundaries and
it's a
stop
process.
enabling, usually the process takes a couple hours into an intervention, and we're getting them on a plane, or it takes a couple days of tough love. Sometimes it takes longer than that.
I'll dispute that. There are interventions that absolutely don't work because a lot of times the families will hire us to do all the work and yet make it very clear that I'm unwilling to change. We're not going to change our family system. You need to go and talk them into treatment. And we will talk for 8 hours, is usually the first day, to try to get them educated so that they look at it differently. And I'll hear things like, I know you're saying that his chances would be better if he goes away to a 90-day option. But he doesn't. But he doesn't want to do that.
And you need to understand our family's different, right? So that's not going to work for us.
When I hear he or
He's
she doesn't want that, it's a bad sign because why are we letting the sickest person in the room design the treatment?
What's it cost for an intervention? What does a family pay? Just give me some ballparks here.
Roughly
Anywhere from $2,500 to $3,800 and it's a lifetime
For ours.
service.
plus expenses.
plus expenses.
Plus expenses. So
We do a lot of sliding fee scale stuff, but nationwide we're actually lower than most everybody.
okay.
And that's no additional billable hours. We have a lifetime agreement with
Yeah,
families.
sometimes we're working with families for weeks and months, depending on what's going on with their situation, and there's never.
Do you sometimes have to do an intervention like 2 or 3 times with the same person, same
Ideally,
family?
you shouldn't.
Ideally, you shouldn't have to, because you've taught them all the skills that are necessary, and it's more fine tuning,
but do you
making
have
sure they're
to?
sticking to the plan.
But-
Never a full intervention twice. No.
Okay.
Here's kind of the thing. Here's the trouble: is we design a treatment plan based upon outcomes and success. Now, the addict, when we sit in front of them, it wants a treatment plan based solely on comfort, not success. And this is the separation. So, and the addict is, myself included, I was an expert at hijacking their emotions to get them to budge off of the successful program onto a shorter term, more comfortable option. And I'm pretty good at it. I'm pretty good at making my family feel fear, or hope, or guilt, or sympathy. And that's why we exist, because I don't have an emotional connection. I get to sit there and hold the line with the successful option. And I understand why the addict is operating the way they do and why they want the 1-day program over the 28-day program.
So when did the center come into play? Because what is
Just
your
this
center?
year. We just opened in January.
And so it's a treatment center?
It's a day treatment program. We're Monday through Friday, 7 hours a day, for about 5 to 6 weeks minimum.
So if somebody's going to go through a 28-day program, they go someplace else?
That would be a residential kind of lockdown.
Yeah.
Ours, they come and they leave. We have a different style.
Ours ideally is if they went to the 20-day, then they come to us. Some cases can come straight to us, depending on their needs.
So
We do something a little different. We do what we call real world recovery. I want our clients to drive by the bar and experience the cravings and process that in treatment. What we found by putting people on a plane and getting them to treatment is the treatment was awesome, but a lot of it was theory, and they usually felt better and then would come home and they would fail.
Are there a lot of places like yours? I mean, not around here
Not in
necessarily.
Indiana, I don't think. No.
So this is a day treatment, so this is kind of an aftercare.
There are some, but not
ongoing.
as long as ours, yeah.
Okay.
The thing that's frustrating is, understand, when I went to my first treatment program, it was 45 days long, insurance paid for it, and would have paid for more. Today, the average length of a residential program in the state of Indiana is 7 days. You cannot find a 45-day residential. It doesn't exist. Addiction is the only niche in healthcare that the outcomes have worsened in 30 years.
Wow. Well,
So-
we're going to have to kind of wrap up here. You guys have given so much information and shared so openly about this. I really appreciate everything you've given. I think we'll probably hear from our viewers about what they're doing with this. I guess I'm looking forward to when the next one's going to open up. So is there a plan for more of these centers to open?
Our next plan, and it'll be next year, would probably be do a detox solution, an actual detoxification unit, because the heroin is the big struggle right now. Heroin's, if you have a teenage kid, your chances of losing them to an overdose are greater than losing them in a car wreck.
Wow.
That's the fact right there.
That's sobering.
Yeah, it's very sobering. And the problem is, what do we do? What do we do with a 19-year-old kid?
So a detox center, what's the difference between detox center and a treatment?
Detox only handles the medical stabilization, getting them off the physical withdrawal, that
How long does
first
that take?
stage. 3 to 5 days, depending. Some opiates are longer, methadone much longer, Suboxone really long. So,
So that's kind of the next step for you guys?
Ideally.
Is it going to be around here?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
There's a need around here. That's why we opened Heartland Recovery Center up.
this is where I grew up.
Yeah. We felt, we've been spent 13 years traveling around the country, helping all different families in all walks of life, all over, actually worldwide. We've done a bunch out of the country too. And we never really had a focus here. And we look around in our area and there's no good solutions here. And
Well,
we need
there
to
are
give
some
back.
solutions, but they're shorter. And,
Well, yeah,
and
no,
we
we
were
know
like,
good ones.
why are we putting people in Griffith, Indiana on a plane? Why isn't there something local?
Well,
Yeah.
I appreciate, and a lot of people around here obviously appreciate what you guys are doing and dedicating to this region, and I hope you have continued success, and we'll keep praying for you to continue your journey, and both your journey. So thanks for being here and so
Thank you very
openly
much.
sharing all this.
Sure.
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
For the past 2 weeks, you have heard the reflections on the power of people who love and care for others, negatively affected by drugs and alcohol addiction. We usually focus on the person who struggles with the disease or faces the challenge of a severe problem. I hope you will also think about the people whose lives are impacted by a family member, friend, or coworker. What do they do? How do they respond to the person who is damaged? These people need help and support also. They expend great amounts of energy in coping. Some may react in unproductive ways. There is always an emotional price these folks pay. You can be the friend who listens, encourages, and helps them through their time of need. There is usually more than one victim in these complex situations. Don't sit back and be a bystander. Be there for them. Thanks for watching our two-part series. You can watch last week's show if you missed it, or any of our past episodes. Just go to Lakeshore Public Media website and click on the TV tab. Scroll down until you see my pretty face and find one of the shows you wish to watch. Keep in mind, these informative conversations can be used for discussion starters in classrooms, at work, or for programs in clubs or organizations. We also welcome your emails with thoughts about any show. We appreciate you, our viewers, for being here each week. Until next week, I'm Keith Kirkpatrick saying, make a positive difference in our world today.
Is supported by NIPSCO. Today's young minds are constantly reimagining what our world will be like tomorrow. That's why NIPSCO is upgrading its infrastructure now, so we're ready for whatever comes next. More information at nipsco.com/future.